Hey there, amigos and amigas. This is Bill McDonald, the writing doctor, and I wanted to share with you because a teacher asked me the other day, and her principal as well, why is it that some good papers only get 2s instead of 3s, or 3s instead of 4s? One of the main reasons that happens is that the papers have no voice in them. And before I show you my folder and my binder, I just want to show you a couple of things that are in the 4 rubric for the actual scoring guide. I always say 1, 2, 3, 4 gets a good score. 5, 6, 7, 8 turns good to great. Okay? One of the main reasons that keeps a student from getting a 2 turned into a 3 or a 3 into a 4 is one of these 8 bullets on the scoring guide, and it's this one right here. Read what it says. It says voice, and that's not written there. Anything that's in parentheses or bold is what I added, but I think you need to read between the lines. It's partially the 4th bullet and the 5th bullet, the way that you develop your ideas with voice. I call it explaining and exploding your essay. Let's read the 2 bullets. The development of ideas is effective because the writer uses details and examples that are specific and well chosen. I call it the bling bling idea. That you take a really cool idea and explain it in a bling way. Or for kids who have limited experiences, you teach them how to have a blah idea and make it bling by the way they explain it. But this is where most of your students are missing the 4 or turning a 2 paper into a 3. There's no voice in the paper. The writing is basically hoarse. The essay is thoughtful and engaging. The writer may choose to use his or her unique experiences, personal or view of the world as a basis for writing to connect ideas in interesting ways. So what they're saying is they're allowing your kids to use their point of view and their perspective. And a lot of you are saying to your kids, don't use words like I or me or we. Don't give your viewpoint. They want their voice. They want to know what they think about the topics. And if you tell them they can't use personal pronouns, a lot of you are having your kids kiss the 4 goodbye because of that. The last sentence says, the writer develops the essay in a manner that demonstrates a thorough understanding of the expository writing task. Okay? And in this same area, in a 2, it says that things are formulaic. So things have to be done in an original, unique way, not a formulaic way if you want to really try to get 4s. So there's a saying, don't judge a person until you've walked a mile in their shoes. Well, inside their shoes are their toes, which in my Star ELA folder, the writing folder for this coming year, is their voice, what I call the spice of the writing. Inside their toes, their shoes are their voice, their toes. And so I use the acronym TOES to help your kids remember certain things that can and should show up in not every essay, but if your kids can get a lot of this, they're going to do pretty well. All right, let's take a look at the T. First of all, you can come up with the most amazing ideas, but unless they have something to do with the topic, it's not going to get a good grade. Everything that the students use has to tie to the topic in some creative way. Truisms. In the attachment Dear Wow, in this post below, there's about 50 pages where your kids can practice truisms, quotes, words of wisdom, and fix them first, and then apply them to real situations. And I think you might enjoy that. That product I have on sale for only $5 right now. Transitions is the next part of the T. So if you go into my binder, this year's version is on page 251. It's got 2 whole pages of transition words and phrases that your kids can use. And I noticed that on 3s and 4s, it says that your students use meaningful transitions as they move from idea to idea, and too many times your kids are using my first reason, my second reason, my third reason, now you know in conclusion, for example, those are too basic and they're not very meaningful. They're basically formulaic, especially if your whole class is using them. The next letter of toes is the O. So think of the O like a head. What are your opinions about a specific topic? What's going through your mind as you share this idea? So in my folder, I'm going to go straight to page 236 from this year, and opinions, it says, that's your opinion. And so imagine every single student having a copy of this page, where those big red words are the ones that they're not allowed to use, and all the smaller ones are the ones that they can use and have more voice when they write. So instead of saying that something is fun, or that it's good, or that I like it, they can use one of these other words. I cherish the opportunity to be able to do this, or it's such a perfect, amazing way. And none of those things are true, but those are the kids' opinions or their thoughts. You want to be able to get inside the kids' heads. Okay? Then the next letter of toes is the E, the emotions. So you want to be able to do what we call tell your emotions with words, which is this page here, 230, the very next page. Tell me how you really feel. And so it's got basically almost every emotion that you can imagine, and lots of synonyms that your kids can use. And so I would imagine making a class copy of that. Okay? So I think that would become very useful. When you show your emotions, there's an activity in the how to have voice in your writing. It allows your kids to use pictures that I put together with collages of people and animals that look scared and worried and confused and happy and mad, and your kids have to basically write what those characters are doing. A couple of examples that I remember reading before is there was a student in 4th grade who was nervous, but instead he wrote, it was like when you shake a soda bottle hard and then you open it. So telling is using higher vocabulary, which is these 2 pages here. Showing means take off that vocabulary and write a phrase or a sentence that shows how you feel. Secondary example, a girl was frustrated and she wrote, every day I fling myself on my bed and sob my stress and anxiety into a much enduring pillow. That girl the very next day was nervous about something she was having to perform, and she wrote, the 10-minute car ride to the school is a blur and the butterflies in my stomach transform to writhing, agitated snakes. Voice can be taught. You just teach those kids. I don't want you to write words about how you feel. I want to know what's going on inside your head and your heart by your actual acts, and show me how you really feel. Okay? The S of toes is the senses, the say, and the salsa. So there's an activity in the how to use voice using the 5 senses. There's a cool activity called Where Am I? And inside the binder we have a couple of cool things. Let me get to that part of the binder. While I'm heading that way, let me go ahead and share a couple of extra pages that I think might be worth looking at. Sometimes, in order for your students to be able to come up with an idea that's original, well chosen, you have to brainstorm with them as a class and in group. And so if you look at page 459 of my new binder, you're going to see lots of places, and whether they're real or hypothetical, realistic or real, your kids can use some of these to come up with ideas when you're teaching how to brainstorm, how to use this previous page to have original ideas that we call bling bling, or ideas, as you see I'm pointing to his head, that means I have one idea, one light bulb, putting his on top of his head representing about the topic. So they would write the topic there, and then if they happen to have a blah idea and the class votes on whether something's blah or bling, they would put it on the bottom part, and then student would know that in order to get a better grade, they've got to learn how to take that blah and turn it to bling. Okay? In addition to having a good idea, you also want to have good hooks. So page 461 in my binder has 14 different things you can do throughout the paper to get the reader's attention and keep it, because it says how to hook your reader and keep them engaged. You'll notice the first 6 are hats. So if you think of your introduction like your head, the hats are the things that you would do before you write your central idea, your controlling idea, your thesis, or your position. And so on the very next page, I've given you lots of examples on how to have a hook that goes along with a central idea, in this case for 4th grade. Okay? So the salsa is the part that comes next. Salsa represents vocabulary and figurative language. So I have a section that's just based on figurative language in the binder. Automatopoeia, similes, idioms, personification and metaphors, as well as hyperbole. All that is the salsa part, the figurative language. And then the say, what is it that your characters say in certain situations? And instead of using said, which should be dead according to many of you, your kids could be using any of these said words to kind of bring the essays more to life and put voice in them. Another way to get more higher vocabulary, when my revising portion starts in the binder, I have a section called Word Bank Mountain, where it's got lots of synonyms on the bottom of the ladder. This is about 20 pages worth, and the little boy has to climb this ladder, what we call Word Bank Mountain, and to use higher vocabulary as he goes along. And so too many students are staying on the bottom of the ladder using words like and hate, instead of trying to climb the ladder to a word that's more appropriate for them. And so if they tend to use something that's too high for them, I just say come down the ladder and to get to something that's more on your ability level. Alright, so we're almost done. I think I see one more little marker in my binder. Another thing that's important, you want strong endings. So it says here, expository endings that take the cake. So if you think of the introduction as your appetizer, the body could be your meat and your vegetables. So if you have 3 reasons, you would have 1 meat and 2 vegetables. If you have 2 reasons, it would be like meat and vegetables. And if you have just 1 reason, which is fine, you would have just the meat. And then there's all these different ways that I model in trainings how to end, so that all you're not doing is this first little bullet. When you just restate the prompt or restate the topic, that's not unique and creative. I want to know if you can add depth, because if the reader's the eater of my words, I want to make sure that they get to eat something original and unique. Finally, the back of the folder is another way to add vocabulary. As you see, if you look just on the back side, it's just a glorified thesaurus. Lots of different words that are bold that the kids like to use when they write and when they talk. And so I would recommend that you use these and add these synonyms underneath, so that, let's say for example, you decide to use fun and good synonyms. Then once you've added these to your spelling list, 5 or 10 at a time, depending on what grade level, your students know that fun and good become off limits, and that they can no longer use those words when they write. So I hope that you enjoy a combination of the folder, the binder, and the activity about voice, how to have voice in writing. God bless you guys, and have a great weekend.